2, 1, we're live.
Okay, great. So good afternoon, everyone, once again. So I just want to welcome the board and committee members, staff, and our online attendees to our November 21st meeting of the Toronto Senior Housing Corporate Governance and Human Resources Committee. So on Monday, November 18th, 2024, we had our quality and tenant engagement meeting where our fellow members noted that November is Hindu, Albanian, and Lebanese Heritage Month. Today, November 21st, is World Philosophy Day, recognized on the third Thursday of each November. This day aims to highlight the importance of philosophy in developing human thought, culture, and society. On today's agenda, CEO Tom Hunter will give an update on various activities and work within the corporation, as well as speak to our recent Confronting Anti-Black Racism training that took place last week on November 14th. We will then have an update on our governance work plan and then move on into the closed session. I want to remind the committee members that if they'd like to speak to the TSHC and TSHC agreements, which were recently briefly discussed in the Quality and Tenant Engagement Committee, this can take place in our in-camera portion. We will return to the public realm for motions to approve items from our closed session and then adjourn. With that, I'll go to the next agenda item, which is the Land and African Ancestral Acknowledgements. And Toronto Seniors Housing acknowledges that we are on the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of Credit and the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, and Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis group peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13, signed with the Mississaugas of the Credit, and the Williams Treaties signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. And the African Ancestral Acknowledgement, Toronto Seniors Housing acknowledges all treaty peoples, including those who came here as settlers, as migrants, either in this generation or in generations past, and those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those who brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. We pay tribute to those ancestors of African origin and descent. We will now proceed to item 3, approval of the public agenda, meeting agenda. Are any amendments to the agenda from anybody? Okay, hearing none.
Councillor Crisanti.
Yes.
My apologies for interrupting. This is where we'd like to add that item on the closed session decisions after. So there's a motion on the screen.
Oh, there it is.
Consideration. Okay. Yes.
Yeah. So we have a new item to add very quickly. So this motion reads to approve the public meeting agenda on November 21st with amendment of adding item 15, motion to approve closed session decisions. So we need a mover and seconder for this as well, Grant, correct?
Yes.
So okay, moved, Mr. Chair, Warren.
Thank you, Warren. Moved by Warren and seconded by
Fareed.
Fareed? Thank you, Fareed. All right. Then now we will go to, there were no amendments, so I haven't heard anyone say that there are any. So if I can have a member also move and second this motion, that would be much appreciated. Did I hear Brenda? So Brenda moves it and seconded by?
Seconded by Warren.
Thank you, Warren. All right. So where am I here? So then be it resolved that the November 21st public meeting agenda as presented is approved. And item number 4, any conflicts of interest? So hearing none, we will move on to item 5. Are there any amendments to the public session minutes of October 7th of 2024? So hearing none, if I can have a member move and a seconder as well for this particular motion.
So move, Mr. Chair, it's Warren.
Thank you, Warren and Fareed. Okay, so a move by Warren and seconded by Fareed. And then with all in favor, be it resolved that the October 7th public session minutes as presented are approved. Item number 6, are there any amendments to the closed session of the minutes for October 7th? Hearing none, then again, I need a mover and a seconder for this one.
Brenda here.
Thank you, Brenda, for moved by Brenda, seconded by
Warren.
Warren. Thank you. Now we will, that was item 6. So item 7. Does anyone have any comments to the action list items on the action items that Grant, anything here to review or any comments here for this list?
Through the chair, there was one action from the last meeting.
Yeah.
And it was to, for myself, and it was to bring a biannual report to the committee and board on incidences and trends on tenant management processes and the efficacy on the tenant human rights policy. That is an in-progress item, and we'll be working on that to bring forward next year. So that's in progress. That was the only item in progress from the last meeting. There was another item in progress from an earlier meeting with regards to a referral of the whistleblower protection policy to AFRC, which is in progress with AFRC now. And that's Carol's item. So I think those are the only two items that are outstanding on the list.
All right, that's helpful. Thank you so much, Grant. Appreciate that. So then at this point, we will move to item number 8, which is the CEO update. So Tom, I'll pass that over to you. That's yours. You're muted, Tom. So.
I think I'm unmuted now. Great. Thank you, Councillor. And through the chair to the committee, just providing a bit more detail to the councillor's earlier comments around that in my report I would be speaking to the board training and as it relates to the Confronting Anti-Black Racism training. It was recently held on November 14th, and there were 2 board members who did attend. And so now we have 4 active board members who have completed the CABR training. And then there will be future opportunities for the CABR training, and it's being discussed with the Center for Advocacy and the Interests of Black People at TSHC, through which the training is provided. And also just wanting to let you know that we are currently working with TSHC as well around the potential for further cybersecurity training for board members, and there will be future information following up on that. And as you know, there will be regular updates to the board on the aspects of cybersecurity. And then for the just another item in my update to this committee is the committee work plans for and 2025 meetings. As part of the planning for 2025, we have been developing the draft work plans for each of the 3 committees. And just to remind this committee group, it's the CGHRC, AFRC, and QTEC. And these have been discussed initially with the chairs of each committee and will be brought forward to the first meeting of each committee scheduled in 2025. And then with regards to the 2025 committee and board meeting schedule, this is currently out for feedback from board members. It is planned to come forward to the December 11th, 2024 board meeting for approval. And then just my final comment, and this was mentioned earlier as well, just around the Toronto Seniors and Toronto Community Housing Agreements. Just wanting to let you know that if we do want to discuss the agreements any further, that would be glad to do so in the in-camera session. Thank you.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you, Tom. Appreciate that update. And so let's take a moment here if anybody has questions for Tom.
Brenda here.
Brenda, please go ahead.
Thank you. Is it possible, of those 4 members, one of them was Maureen, so that really means only 3 board members. Is it possible to get some sort of sense of why board members are not participating? If it's a scheduling issue or the format issue, is there some way that we can ensure that all board members participate in some capacity? I know, Council, you probably had your training through your in-house processes, so it's a little different. But I'm just wondering if the board chair possibly could talk to the members who have not been able to participate, if we can get an idea of why that is and what we can do to facilitate that. I feel very strongly about this because in any diversity work you do, you always ensure that the people at the top have buy-in. And I think it's not a very good sign when we don't show any buy-in in any significant manner. And we're not even at 50%, right? So those are my thoughts, and I wondered if someone could comment or agree to do some follow-up.
So through you, Mr. Chair, I think Brenda raises an important point, and I will follow up to find out what it was. I know for some members it was a scheduling issue. And perhaps we can also see if there's a way we can accommodate some of those members through some kind of virtual training as well. So we'll follow up and bring back some recommendations in terms of 100% participation. I agree wholeheartedly that I think we need to set the tone, and this is an important training for all of us to have.
Particularly when we've done so much work on our staff surveys and our organization surveys, you know, it's part of a piece, right?
I agree.
Okay, Tom, you wanted to add something to that?
Through the chair to me, just to clarify, it is for current active board members who have had the training. It does not include Maureen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you, Brenda. Any other questions for Tom at the moment? Okay, then we'll move to item 9, governance work plan update, and Grant will go through the governance work plan whenever Grant is ready. You ready, Grant? Okay.
Yes. Thank you, Councillor Santi. So through the chair, there's a report before the committee today that provides a summary update on progress on the governance work plan. And in terms of how the governance work plan has been captured, early on in late 2022 and then into 2023, a couple of workshops were held with committee and board at the time, and several items associated with the work plan were established. These were then layered into the strategic directions, and we now monitor and track progress on the governance work plan in alignment to the TSHC strategic directions. In this particular report, we've highlighted a few of the more recent accomplishments associated with the governance work plan, as well as some upcoming work. I'll talk about that in a sec. And then there's an attachment that goes through all the elements, both the time-limited aspects of the governance work plan and the ongoing activities of the governance work plan. You'll notice that there are different types of activities included in the governance work plan. Some of them are about the effectiveness of board processes. Some of them are about board responsibilities and oversight. And some of them are about more broad governance principles and structure. So those are 3 main themes that are embedded into the items and the actions that are associated with the governance work plan. Some of the accomplishments and things that have been achieved over the last period of time. So we've developed a board orientation presentation and had delivered that a few times with our more recent board members. However, this is something that needs to be refreshed and has come up in previous conversations, which we will work on. We've hired an executive assistant and board secretary, that's Karen, who's on with us now and came on earlier this year to support more focused activities around board management. We did work on a board committee membership process previously last year, and we went through that. We will have to revisit that at some point in the future, but that was accomplished. And then if you recall, we had the 5 board governance policies that we took through corporate governance and then to the board at the last meeting for approval. Upcoming on the governance work plan will include looking at the board skills matrix and board development and training. This is something that's been outstanding for a period of time and has been discussed in different earlier preparation for different committees and meetings as well. We're going to follow up on the meeting survey questionnaire. That's what we've been doing post meetings, and we've been gathering some data from that. And we're going to bring that into a conversation about how we might inform improvements as well. One of the actions on the work plan is to look at best practices and standards around governance. So that is upcoming. And then we also have to review the board committee terms of reference. This is something that actually we're supposed to be doing annually. So it will be done next year as well. To help support all of this, we have an intent to schedule a workshop with the board to go through this in the first quarter of next year. And then sort of work through all of these topics. Also use it as an opportunity to gather input into some of these particular topics, as well as future work plan considerations. And as I mentioned, there's a more detailed attachment with the specific status of different things. So I'll open it up for any questions at this point.
Okay, questions for Tom?
You see Fareed's hand up, I think.
Fareed?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair, and thanks, Brent, for the presentation and the reminder. There are a couple of things I was going to ask about the results of the survey, post-meeting survey, and I noticed that you're bringing that back to the committee. It'd be interesting if we can accelerate that report back, because so that we can get a sense of how we're doing vis-a-vis providing information, relevant information, conduct of meeting, preparation of meeting, all that sort of stuff. I think it'd be helpful for us to be able to recalibrate if we need to some of those considerations based on the survey. So I don't know what the timing is for that, but would certainly recommend that that's something that we should probably look at. As many of the board members, I mean, we're on a very definitive cycle. You know, it'd be good to have that review before some of the cycle comes to an end. And the second consideration is, I was wondering, I didn't see any of the policy review pieces. I know that we conducted a review of the different policies earlier in the year, but I was going to suggest that as a matter of best practice, you may want to consider perhaps towards the last meeting of this committee for the year in question, which would be 2025, to kind of give a quick update on or a quick review of those policies and what might need to be changed based on, you know, changing situations, changing circumstances. So it's not a comprehensive review or necessarily bring into the board the policies for review, but just give the board the assurances that there has been a quick review of those policies and they are still consistent with some of the considerations that might come up between when we last approved them on that particular time.
So through the chair, yes, thank you, Fareed. We can take those things back. We are hoping to have the survey results gathered and something to have in for that workshop and potentially sooner as well. And with regards to looking at the policies, we'll take that back as well. That is, I know there's a policy review cycle that we would want to include in looking at those things. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Grant, and appreciate the update. I don't think there are any other questions at this point, so we'll move over to item number 10. And this is to move into the closed session. So and that's where we're going now. So if I can have, again, a mover and a seconder to move to closed session. So the motion is to move into closed session under the TSHC bylaw 1-2021, section 4.19, subsection 1B and 1D. If we could get a mover and a seconder, please.
So move, Mr. Chair. Warren.
Thank you, Warren, and seconded by?
I can second, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Fareed. All right, so since this is, we're all in favor, and we will now go